So Mark, I will just defer to him now, and thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Mary Kay. I have some opening comments, and I want to make sure that my wife Patty knows that they are very similar to the ones I made last year, because she pointed that out to me as I was leaving for the conference tonight. But at any rate, a couple of years ago, Greg Smith, who's sitting right here, he's the instigator. He said, well, why don't we do bars of Oswego? There's a lot of material there. So I started to put some things together, and I was going to do the whole city last year. And then as we got going, it just seemed like there was too much material. So here we are for part two. The presentation is meant to be interactive. I want to dedicate it to Greg's brother, Jim Q-Ball Smith, and his drinking buddies. My intent is not to offend anybody, but simply to reminisce about some past times. And since it's interactive, I really appreciate the audience commenting, raising your hand, interjecting. Oftentimes, I'm not correct. People sometimes have better memories than me. I'll be the first to admit it. But collectively, we've got a lot of knowledge about these bars, and let's share it. So, as young men growing up in Oswego, my friends and I had two things of compelling curiosity and interest. They were alcohol consumption in bars and members of the opposite sex. Not necessarily in that order. Whereas today we focus on medical problems, medications, doctors, death of our contemporaries, sadly. Growing up, our unsung heroes were individuals who frequented bars and consumed large amounts of alcohol on a daily basis. And in an effort to offend, I will not drop any names, however, I think you all know who I'm talking about. They're familiar figures in the community. When it comes to bars and grills, Oswego is the gift that keeps on giving. My challenge was to organize it, prioritize it, so here it is. But before I get going, I also want to take a moment to recognize Caroline Lammy. Caroline, would you stand up for a second, please? She is my partner in crime. Without her help, assistance, and technical skills, this would not have happened. We've had a lot of laughs as we put the program together, and Carolyn deserves so much for all the work that she's done to assist me. So, okay, as we start, let's see if I can get this thing going. So the Guinness Book of Records bestows Oswego, New York with the honor of holding the world record for having the most bars per square mile of any city in the United States. What a distinction. Okay, we're all problem solvers, and I constantly get this question: where was the Bucket of Blood bar in Oswego? Well, we're not going to answer it now. That'll be our final exercise. But think about it, and let's see what we come up with. Okay? I'm going to start out with the picture of the Munger House. The Munger House originally was called the Fitzhugh House. It was built in 1828 by none other than Garrett Smith, a man who is near and dear to our hearts in Oswego. He owned most of Oswego. He built the public library and was a great innovator in terms of being very progressive. One of the things that he believed very deeply in was temperance. So he built this beautiful hotel, Fitzhugh House, but would not serve alcohol. It was an utter failure. So it lingered on for quite a while. He sold it to someone else who eventually sold it to a man by the name of Munger in 1855. And from that point on until it was torn down, it was very successful. It was a place to go in Oswego.
Mark?
Yes.
Mark, I'm not sure everybody can read East First and Bridge, but could you describe which corner it was?
Oh, it's right out here. You get to the corners and you go kitty corner from where the light is, where the bank. Yes, but let's remember the bank.
Yeah.
That's where it was. Okay, and if you look down the block a little bit, there's another building. It was called the Fitzhugh Hall. And I'll get to a place that was in Fitzhugh Hall in a few minutes, but that's where it was located. So, there it is today. Now you know where I'm talking about? Okay. This is the Neal Block. It's built in the 1870s, and the anchor building, the anchor store in there was Campbell's department store. You remember Campbell's?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. But up on the top floor was the Masonic Lodge. And it's my understanding that alcohol permeated those premises. I'm not sure. I know as a high school student, after the movie with Jackie Gleason, Minnesota Fast Eddie, The Hustler, that's it. All of my friends decided they were going to become pool sharks, so we would sneak into the Masonic Lodge and play pool, as well as other places. But so it was located on the top floor. Masonic Lodge eventually moved out to where Walgreens is now. Do you remember? I don't have a picture.
We do now.
Okay, well, send it to me. So, yeah, we looked all over, didn't we?
And a guy walked in with it the other day.
Really? I knew Natalie was hard pressed. And currently, the Masonic Lodge is located on East Seneca Street. You can see their emblem out in the front as you leave in town. So, everybody recognize this building? No, it was built in the 1860s. If you look going down the street, Bridge Street descended. It's at the top of a hill. Let's try another one. Is that more familiar? Goldberg's?
Yeah.
Okay, same building. Just a different time. Now, right in the corner, right down in the basement, there was a bar, of course. 24 East Bridge Street. In 1937, shortly after Prohide was over, it was called the Corner Grill. Then it became the Town Tavern in the 40s and 50s until it became Berlin's. Now, many of you who are my age or a little bit younger remember Berlin's. It was torn down, the whole block was torn down in 1965. It's quite a place to go. So there's a shot of that whole block going the other way. You see the Puritan store down in the bottom and several others. There it is today. Recognize it? That's the corner of East First and Bridge, and you're going towards the bridge. I'm looking for a photo of the chart room, Admiral Woolsey's, Pat's, built, when they built the port, the East Side Port in 1960, it opened 61, I think. The original chart room was owned by the Port Authority, and it was run by a guy by the name of Bob Bickham. I got to know Bob fairly well. Every time his business would improve, the port would raise the rent. So I happened to be down there. I just got home from college. It was May 27th, 1966, and I was sitting with a couple of my friends, and all of a sudden a whole caravan of vehicles pulled into the parking lot. A bunch of people got out. They had trucks, they had everything else. They went in and they took everything out of the chart room. The feds, he hadn't been paying his taxes. And the place was closed for like 2 years. I don't know if you remember that or not. It reopened as a chart room for a short period of time, and then became Admiral Woolsey's. And eventually Pat Jones took, Augie Vona was Admiral Woolsey's, and then it became Pat's, right? And then the Broadwell Group bought property, tore the building down, and there it is, parking lot. That's the way it looks today. A lot of good times in that place. You recognize this? Anybody tell me where this is in town?
Press box.
Press box, yep. That's East First Street. Back in the 1870s, 80s, 90s, somewhere in there. But look at the number of railroad tracks. There's 1, 2, 3, about 6 sets of tracks. And they all stop right at Cayuga Street. They don't go any further. So, I don't have a picture of the Captain's Lounge. Oops, I'm gonna go back. But there's where it was.
Mark, was that a separate building?
Yes.
Okay, I couldn't remember.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of attached, but
Okay.
it was wood frame, I believe, and this was brick. If you recall, for a while, Dorsey's had their distributing in here after they were taken out of Water Street. When they built the municipal lot down on Water Street behind the Commons. They tore down the freight house that was there, and so Dorsey moved over here, and then eventually moved out to West Fifth Street, which was a Kingsford building, and at the time that Dorsey bought it, I believe Jacobson's owned it, and they stored onions. Press box. Hey. Another shot of the press box.
You can see that building in the old picture that you showed.
Yeah,
With all the
you wanna go back for a minute?
tracks.
Yeah.
You can see the shape of that building.
Right there.
Right there.
See?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
So the building that was,
That was a freight house.
what's the other restaurant?
Captain's Lounge?
Wasn't there yet?
No, no,
Okay.
it was an add-on.
Yep.
That turned into the captain's.
Pardon me?
That turned into the captain's quarters, didn't it? That end of the building?
Yes, Captain's Lounge, yeah. Okay, where are we now, Greg?
East First and,
Yeah.
East First and Cayuga, the new James.
Yep.
Yep. Quite a place. There's another shot of it. And if there was a car dealership in there, Mr. Thayer, can you remember what car dealership it was? Big Ben. Oh, there. Okay, and if you look further down the street, you'll see a 4-story building.
Yeah.
That's gonna be the Oswego Hotel. So after the new James bit the dust. The Midtown Plaza. A lot of disappointed people. And not just because it was the new James. So there it is today. So I said earlier, take a look down the street at the hotel. There it is. The original hotel was built by, what's his name? Hamilton Murray, very famous Oswegoian. And it went into disrepair. So it was rebuilt in the 1890s, the early 1890s, by Max Richardson to be a first-class hotel for all the people who came to the Richardson Theater, which opened in 1895. Okay. The history of that hotel, it was the place to go for a reason. Let's see, whoops, this thing's too sensitive. In 1909, a man by the name of Dano bought it and it became the Dano Hotel. He was a very famous chef from New York City, and his specialty was Welsh rarebit. And people would come from all over to the Dano Hotel so they could have Welsh rarebit. He left in the 1920s and it became the Lannon Hotel. A man by the name of Martin Barney Lannon ran it. Closed after the war, it was closed for a while. 1958, Bob McGann turned it into McGann's Oswego Hotel. And that's the place where all the politicians and all the power brokers met. It was, let's see. So there's another shot of it the other way. It was demolished in 1965 with everything else on it black. And I couldn't get a shot of the original two double-decker parking lot. So this would have been, I think, after, when they take it down, 2015 maybe? So that's what it looked like before the apartment house. And in Midtown Plaza was Midtown Liquors. Who was the proprietor? Anybody know? Anybody remember? Effie Cullen. And that's why we have an ice cream stand over on West 2nd Street, 2nd and Utica. He moved out of there and he moved into the new liquor store. Does this bring back memories? Yeah. Finding pictures of the inside of this place was difficult, but Caroline came through and she went online and scoured it all over and came up with this. So let's go back down the block a little bit, and here is the, you can see the Captain's Lounge across the street. This is the site plan when they were developing what is now the Best Western Hotel.
Not Wall.
Hmm?
Not Wall Springs.
Oh,
Not Wall Springs.
yeah. All right. So there it is today. And this was prior to the time that it was developed, but Alex's, followed by La Paria, and now it's the Dockside.
Holiday. Nice. There was a bar there.
1969.
Yeah.
It opened. Look familiar, Peg?
Yeah,
Yeah. The inside,
it even had a little pool next to it where that splash place is now.
yeah.
They used to have their own little pool there, which people, I'm afraid, took little 1 o'clock in the morning.
Little
dips and
plunge?
went home. Yeah, I remember those. Now-
So it's a Quality Inn now, but if you recall, it was a Clarion Inn for quite a while, after it was the Holiday Inn. Here we are. Okay, this is an aerial shot. Remember I showed you the building that was Fitzhugh Hall? Well, the bank would have been, let's see if I can do this without tripping. Would be in this space, Fitzhugh Hall would have come down this way. And in Fitzhugh Hall, and I have no pictures of it, but there's a little place called the Tip Tap. In case you didn't know. So there's a shot of it where it was. Across the street, Wilbur's Grill. For a while it was called Wilbur and Brown's, but it was at 104 East First Street. This is what the inside looked like. And if you look at the block on East First Street, it was right next to Campbell's, that white building. And if you look at the other shot, at the end of the white building, that little corner, that's where it was.
What year is that?
This picture was taken in, the one on the left in 1965. I think probably both of them were 64, 65. My father went all the way around and took pictures of everything that was coming down. And so those are the pictures. And Frank Barber, let's give Frank some credit too. A lot of the pictures we get of the urban renewal came from Frank. So here's the inside. Now, Caroline, you want to comment on this building?
We found 3 bars with the same facade, totally different.
And we sat for hours scratching our heads. Is this, but we think that that's it. And then look at this. We could, the address I got in Leroy's out of one of the city directories was 187 East 10th Street, which is where Don's and Wayne's Place, and but it could not have been there. So either there were 2 Leroy's or, anyway, there's a, yes,
It moved to 10th Street.
Moved to 10th Street.
yeah.
Okay, that
Those
makes
were
sense.
my dad's uncles that started it, Royce.
So it was here first and then it went to
Then it
10th
went to
Street?
10th Street, and later on it was Mary Ann's, who was my cousin, so she was related to the original.
The little place you're talking about. Yeah, yep, we'll get there. Okay, problem solved. It moved. But, so actually that is at 104 East First Street.
Right.
And it was Leroy's. All right, across the street, Leo Culleton was a plumber by trade, but he liked to stay hydrated. And his office was all the way to the right in the picture. It was Oswego Plumbing. Then it became Quality Plumbing. But in his later years, he decided that he wanted to venture into a business, and so he bought this place, and it became Leo's. And then it became, Billy Woodford bought it, and it became No Place. Does anybody remember No Place back in the mid-60s? And if you went to no place, Billy had a special drink, and what was that drink? Nothing. So I'd come home late at night, my mother would say, "Where have you been?" I said, "No place." "What have you been doing?" "Nothing." Yeah.
Right next to no place was the infamous Linda's Gift Shop. Does anybody know that place? That's where Reno Ponzi, his bookie joint.
Yeah.
They had a ton of cards in there and whatnot. And a great story to come out of there, Joe Swish walked in there one time just to make him a detective. There's probably 20 people in there playing cards, watching a baseball game. The place just stopped. He pulls out a picture and he shows it to Reno Ponzi. He says, "Reno, you know this kid?" Reno says, "I don't know who he is, Joe. You don't hang around here." Dead silence. And somebody over there says, "What do you want him for?" He says, "We think he's the guy that robbed Jocko's the other night." And in the back was Spinner Spinelli making sausage sandwiches, and he yelled out, because Jocko had no money there, he said, "What are you doing for, practice?" And Joe Swish walked right past me, he's standing there, shaking his head, he says, "I knew I should have never walked in here."
Good story. So which place are you talking about? Got a little hot. Jones Pub. We gotta thank Corey King for this picture. There it is today. The Roselle House. Anybody recognize it? 133's First Street.
131.
131, excuse me.
Well, it's opposite the Richardson Theater.
Yep, that's correct.
So now I know where it would be.
When we were growing up, Nelson Tanner had used that space. He had hardwoods and other things in there. And he also had a warehouse across the street. Later on, it became Lambrino's Cleaners when they moved out because of urban renewal. So that was kind of a nice hotel in its day. And we're looking at 1880s, 1890s. There it is today. Recognize this place? Laura's. Was this also Jacko's at one time? Or is it always Laura's?
Is that on East First Street also?
Hmm?
Is it East First Street?
Yes.
Always lower, as they say.
Yeah.
You know, Jocko had one over there, his sister used to play the piano in there all the time.
So originally, when I go back into the 1930s and 40s, it was called the Timmins Grill. Then it was Fitz's Grill. Then, according to Murphy Okino, a man by the name of Frank Haggerty ran the bar. So it was Haggerty's, and then it was Laura's. You put a date on that fire?
It was 1980s, somewhere there.
No, it was later than that.
Or this one?
Yeah,
That's from the collection I was in.
really.
February
Of
of
course, I was in the
82.
museum too.
Take a look at the,
Hmm? February of 82,
82, was it? Yeah,
my first fire.
okay. Gee, just seems like yesterday. There it is today. So I'm moving up, East First Street on the corner of East First and Utica. Picture on the left shows the Perro Hotel, P-E-R-O. See it? And on the right side, or the left side of the street is where Terrell's is now. Now, interesting story about the Perro Hotel. Justin White and I were over at the city library talking, and a tour group came by, and a lady walked up to us and said she lived in, I believe, Seattle, Washington, but she was here because her ancestors ran the Perro Hotel, and she said that her grandfather ran it, and it was during Prohide. They would drive to Buffalo and drive across the border. They had a huge tank underneath the back seat of the car, and they'd fill it with alcohol. And she was a little girl, she said, but they tell her to just stay seated. If you get stopped by the police, don't get out of the car. Just stay in your seat, and everything will be all right. So he eventually, everybody took a turn during Prohide, getting arrested. So he went to the county jail, which was on the corner of East 2nd and Cayuga Street, and every